I'd like to begin with thanking everyone for attending, the fellow debaters, our speaker and his resolution, and our audience today who's come to watch this wonderful debate. And so I'd like to begin with our side of this position of, per se, that people don't necessarily need to go out and vote. And to begin with, I'd like to start by addressing some of the Prime Minister's comments. He mentioned a few things that by voting people become in charge of their own destiny, and they're controlling their ways, their world, and as he said in these recent elections, there's been the economic downturn, wars, healthcare, and that these are worldwide issues. And he mentioned that the United States of America have become a sole superpower, and that these worldwide issues have come to fall on our shoulders to help solve, and that citizens can speak their mind. But there's other ways they can speak their minds. There's groups, there's organizations that are working to try to fix some of these issues, even within our own country themselves. The citizens have other ways other than voting that they can get out and make their points heard. He made the comment that the voting public should be educated, and that these public debates are made to, public debates from these people who are striving for our votes are to educate the people of their ideas and their beliefs. But the average citizen doesn't watch most of these debates. They don't partake in the research of those who are vying for their votes. The public overall is not educated, and we don't need an uneducated public making these large decisions to vote for large public offices. Because not everyone, the first step for that would be making people become educated, but we can't do that. So instead of trying to force people who don't know what to vote for, having them vote, just let them not vote. And then I have some points of my own. That in this democracy we live in, part of democracy is having this free market kind of system where we have a choice of what we can do and what we don't want to do. And the Prime Minister's points were almost pointing to the fact that we almost are forced to vote. He wants everyone to vote whether they know what they're voting for or not, but we have a choice. We have a free market whether or not we want to vote. It's choice versus force. We don't need to vote if we don't want to. They don't have to vote if they're uneducated, or they don't have maybe they just don't have a choice in this election. Maybe they're unbiased or to decide they don't need to vote. They don't have to make a choice if they don't desire to. It's more of, we're saying that a democracy is a reason to vote. But democracy is a lot based on choice, and it's their choice whether or not they want to vote. And we're spending a lot of time that each and every person should go out and vote. But does each and every person's voice get heard when they go out and vote? Does each and every person's individual vote have that much say in the overall election? There are millions and millions of people in the United States, and they say every person has a say. But if every person goes out and votes, what is your one small vote really going to do? That one vote does not make a significant impact on the overall results. So not every single person needs to go out. There's a majority that will go out and vote because they believe that they know exactly what they want, and they may represent those who don't want to vote. They might have a choice, but not every single person's vote will make that change. And at this point, we already have enough of people that seems to get the voice out. So each and every vote does not make a difference. And as we've noticed over the past 20, 30 years, the voting percentages hasn't seemed to change much. It stays about the same level between 50 and 60% of those who are eligible do vote. And that's been working fine as it is. People who don't want to vote, don't want to make the choice, have been staying back and not. It's been working fine. And candidates who really have a shot at getting elected, they will get their voice heard to those who who might not be listening. If that candidate really has the ideas and beliefs that people are trying to hear, their voice will be heard by those who might be reluctant to go out. They will get themselves through their televisions, through radio. They will find their ways to get their message to them, to make them want to vote. A person should be wanting to vote because of what the candidate's saying. They shouldn't be voting because they need to or because they have some democratic obligation to vote. Just because we live in a democracy, I'm not supporting, let's say, a dictatorship, but just because we live in a democracy, it doesn't mean everyone needs to actively participate. Most passive citizens are fine with where our country goes. They follow what they have, as the Prime Minister said, we have these active citizens, and if we have active citizens, that active citizens together will create less turmoil. There's more unity because people are getting out there, they're getting the voice heard, they're working together. But passive citizens can do just the same. They might not have the voice heard, but being passive citizens, they're going along with what happens. It does not always create such an issue. And to bring up another point that the Prime Minister made, he mentioned how democracy promotes stability, that no two democratic countries have gone to war. And I'd like to find that, although it may not be two totally different countries, we have the US's own civil war as almost a vote against that. With our democracy and our vote, with our democracy and our voting, the people wanted to, some of the country wanted to abolish slavery and some others didn't. They had the choice to vote and they had the choice to get their voices heard. Yet, with this wonderful democracy, it still managed to erupt into this large war between the country, causing great casualties on both sides. Democracy can't always fix everything. Just because people have the right to vote, it doesn't mean it's going to get them what they want. There will always be a losing side to these voters. If everyone goes out and votes and everyone has a say, then one choice will get what they want. Those that voted and they voted for all together, a larger collective voted for one side, there'll still always be the other side who will feel their voice might not have been heard. So instead of forcing everyone to vote, choose a side. Let those who truly know what they want, they can vote. And the rest can be these passive citizens. They have no detriment to the democracy. The passive citizens hurt no one. The active citizens can be the ones who get the voice heard. They might be the educated ones. They're the ones that should be making the decision. We don't need everyone to go out and vote. If the majority of the people have the voice heard, then we're getting what the majority of people want. Most people who don't have a desire to vote, most don't know what they want to vote for. There's no reason to force them to go out and do that.